Hello everyone, welcome to the Lightning Ball channel. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so and activate the notification bell. Your support fuels my continued efforts. In our last episode, we discussed how the Empire's elite squads invaded the labyrinth, prompting Rimuru's labyrinth guardians to select and attack their counterparts. However, the Imperial Guardians' strength exceeded expectations, leading to the defeat of Immortal King Adelman's trio and Insect Queen Apito, giving Rimuru's side their first taste of defeat. In this episode, we will focus on the battles of Kumara and Zegion. Let's start with the clash between Kumara and Kansas. Kamara vividly remembered the face of her nemesis Kansas, the man responsible for destroying her homeland, Spectre Village. It was a painful memory from a time long past. Spectre Village, located near the border of the Eastern Empire and puppet nation Gistav, was once a paradise. Kamara's mother, the mistress of the Spectre Village, was a being comparable to a demon lord, known as the Mystic Fox of Darkness. Despite her immense power, she was kind-hearted and detested conflict, choosing not to antagonize humans. However, the Empire, perceiving the village as a threat, hatched a plot. Kansas staged a massacre of nearby villagers, pinning the blame on the mythical beasts of Spectre Village. With public opinion manipulated, Kansas and Demon Lord Clayman's forces raided the village. Overpowered by the enemy, Kamara's mother and her companions were slain, and young Kamara was captured by Kansas and sold to Clayman. Following this, Kansas declared the threat of Spectre Village eliminated, becoming a hero in the eyes of the Empire's citizens. This tale, akin to the Scarlet-Dyed Lakeshore, was a fabrication, showcasing the Empire's skill in crafting false histories. As Kamara awaited Kansas, she muttered under her breath, vowing to use all her power to kill him. Meanwhile, Kansas, a staunch believer in the supremacy of strength, felt no remorse for his actions. Confident in his own power, he calmly navigated the labyrinth alone, searching for any surviving subordinates. After a day's exploration, he encountered a grand mansion on the 90th floor with opulent gates that silently opened as he approached. Emerging from within was a breathtakingly beautiful young girl. While Kamara greeted Kansas with a menacing smile, Kansas responded with a facade of friendliness, recognizing the young girl as the fox he had once sold to Clayman. Kamara was surprised that Kansas remembered her. Kansas, shamelessly, claimed credit for his rise in rank due to Kamara's mother, and insisted he had saved Kamara's life by selling her as a young fox to Clayman, suggesting she should be grateful to him. Enraged by Kansas's audacious remarks, Kamara's killing intent surged. One of her tails transformed into a white monkey wielding a club, launching a series of rapid attacks at Kansas. In turn, Kansas summoned a dark monkey, covered in black fur, to counter the white monkey's assault. Upon seeing the dark monkey, a look of shock crossed Kamara's face. The dark monkey facing Kamara was, in fact, one of the tail beasts of her mother, the former Ninehead, a significant figure in Kamara's past, a creature she had played with in her youth, now a mindless servant under Kansas's control. This was the power of Kansas's unique skill, Looter, which allowed him to summon darkness equivalents of his slain foes, growing stronger with each kill. Witnessing the transformation of her mother's companion into a dark servant, Kamara's anger intensified, morphing two more of her tails into beasts. Matching her fury, Kansas also unleashed his full might, summoning 5 more faithful tail beasts of Kamara's mother. Their battle was not just a clash of strength but a deep, personal vendetta, fueled by Kamara's tragic past and Kansas's ruthless ambition. As the fight escalated, so did the tension and drama on the battlefield, setting the stage for a confrontation filled with raw emotion and fierce determination. In a moment of emotional upheaval, Kamara faced the grim reality of confronting the tail beasts of her own mother, the former Ninehead. Kansas's cruelty had pushed her to the brink. Surprisingly, Kansas was astounded not by the situation but by Kamara's power, for she, still theoretically a child, could summon 3 tail beasts. Yet, as we know, Kamara's capabilities extended far beyond this. However, Kansas, ever arrogant, proposed a deal to Kamara: betray Rimuru and become his pet, and he would spare her life. This offer was more a command than a negotiation. Kamara, of course, vehemently rejected it. In response, and to counter the 5 dark beasts, she unleashed all her tails, summoning the 8 legion, a talking white monkey, a gravity-controlling white rabbit, a disease-spreading rat, a lightning-wrapped tiger, a gas-manipulating winged snake, a dream-controlling sheep, a flame-wrapped bird, and a mirror-traversing dog. The battle of the tail beast ensued, and seizing the opportunity, Kamara attacked Kansas from behind. She knew that eliminating Kansas would render his formidable skill useless. Kansas, however, was not easily cornered. Realizing he couldn't best Kamara in close combat, he swiftly changed tactics, playing his final trump card. While acknowledging Kamara's strength and lamenting not killing her when he had the chance, Kansas confidently declared he had something interesting to show her. With that, he dismissed the dark beasts and summoned a massive mythical beast with 9 tails, 5 thick and 4 thin, the former mistress of Spectre Village, Kamara's deceased mother. Under Kansas's control, the gentle and kind fox, who previously could not fight to her full potential, was now a fearsome force, unleashing power rivaling that of a demon lord. Kamara's heart shattered at the sight of her mother being manipulated in such a disgraceful manner by Kansas. Unabashedly, Kansas claimed that this power was being put to effective use and that Kamara's mother should be grateful for her own death. With these words, the dark 9-headed beast surged with might, unleashing a devastating tail sweep that obliterated the 8 legion. The force of the blow forced Kamara's summoned beast to retreat back into her tails. Without giving Kamara a moment to react, Kansas and the dark 9 tails launched a coordinated assault, aiming to defeat and control Kamara's body. However, Kamara, seemingly entranced, stood motionless, allowing her opponents to close in. It was only when Kansas and the dark beast were nearly upon her that Kamara suddenly lifted her head. Muttering to herself, Kamara realized she had momentarily forgotten the teachings of Hinata, who had always instructed her that losing composure was a path to defeat. Despite the surge of anger, Kamara felt that seeing her deceased mother still subjected to Kansas's manipulation and insult. After reflecting quietly, Kamara understood that what was lost could not be retrieved. What mattered most was not to lose anything more. Despite the destruction of her homeland, Kamara now had a home, the Monster Federation, and preserving this new home was paramount. With resolute determination, she gently caught the incoming claws and dagger with her right and left hands, respectively, and then violently crushed them. Kansas hastily retreated, but the dark 9 tails had no time to escape. At that moment, Kamara, with a radiant smile, declared her name. As Kansas stood in shock that Kamara had a name, the dark 9 tails before him disintegrated into pieces. Kansas's strongest asset was dismantled by Kamara's own hands. With a final farewell, ignoring Kansas's pleas, Kamara's 9 tails gleamed brilliantly, launching attacks from all directions, sealing Kansas's fate. A flash of swords, and Kansas was reduced to dust, meeting his end. Thus, Kamara's revenge was complete. Though she could never bring her mother back to life, she reclaimed her mother's dignity. Content with her fulfillment, Kamara smiled genuinely, a smile from deep within her heart. At that very moment, in another part of the labyrinth, a figure sat in deep meditation. His black exoskeleton shimmered with the brilliance of rubies, and a sword-like horn protruded from his forehead. Having undergone transformations with Rimuru's cells and Magisteel, his exoskeleton had become a natural, legendary armor. This person was none other than the most formidable guardian of the labyrinth, the disciple of the storm dragon, Insect Kaiser Zegion. Outside the hall where Zegion was, 4 of the Empire's strongest quietly rested. They were the 3 Imperial Guardians who had defeated the immortal King Adelman's trio and Major Minitz, who had killed the Insect Queen Apito. After their respective victories over the Labyrinth Guardians, Zegion had invited them to wait here for the final battle. After confirming each other's identities, these 4 Imperial powerhouses began to discuss their current situation. They noticed drinks and fruits arranged for them, evidently free of any poison, a courtesy extended by Zegion. The grand door leading to the hall, however, seemed impenetrable, either pushing nor pulling would budge it, but a digital countdown was visible. They surmised that this was a timer. Indeed, the door displayed a number, 200, indicating just over 3 hours until it would open. Coincidentally, this was the exact time Minitz needed for his body to fully recover. Minitz sighed, conceding that it was no accident. The enemy planned to face them at their peak. With 3 hours to spare, Minitz expressed hope for other comrades to join them. So, they pulled out their rations to replenish their strength as they awaited reinforcements. Yet, no one else arrived by the time the door opened. Unfazed and resolute, they stepped through the door as it swung open, prepared for whatever awaited them. Zegion welcomed the group with a deep, resonant voice. With just a single sentence, his presence seemed to swell, almost expanding the space around him. This alone convinced Minitz that Zegion was undoubtedly the one who summoned them here, and he inquired if Zegion was the demon lord Rimuru himself. This question, however, struck a nerve with Zegion. He couldn't tolerate the notion of being mistaken for his revered deity, Rimuru-sama. Although anger seethed through him, filling the space with his furious aura, Zegion's tone remained calm.
"My name is Zegion, merely one of the Labyrinth Guardians,"
he stated.
"You, crawling ignorantly upon the earth, are deserving of death. But burn your lives and struggle, resist with all you have. Come at me with your full strength,"
he challenged them. Realizing communication was futile, Minitz and his team launched an all-out assault. Bazan, ranked 35th among the Imperial Guardians and the one who single-handedly suppressed the undead dragon, initiated the attack. Swinging his great sword with earth-shattering force, he charged at Zegion. However, Zegion simply sidestepped and effortlessly deflected the sword, throwing Bazan off balance. Seizing the opportunity, Zegion concentrated all his strength into his right fist and struck Bazan's legendary armor, shattering it and piercing through Bazan, killing him instantly. This rapid demise occurred within mere seconds of the battle's commencement, leaving Reiha stunned and vulnerable. In her moment of distraction, Zegion sliced her in two. Krishna, who defeated Albert, roared in anger and unleashed his proudest sword technique, Dimension Cut, a slash so powerful it could sever dimensions and was thought unbeatable unless countered by spatial manipulation like Rimuru's spatial domination. Zegion, unfazed, smirked and distorted the space around him. Distort field indeed a power from Lord of Oath, Absolute Guard, rendering Krishna's attack ineffective. Recognizing his attack's futility, Krishna retreated, closely followed by Minitz, who tried to constrain Zegion with gravitational control. Unfortunately, their efforts were in vain against Zegion's space-distorting capabilities. Without giving them time to react, Zegion nonchalantly unleashed Dimension Ray, severing the space occupied by the two Empire warriors. Despite their quick response, the overwhelming power gap rendered their struggle meaningless. Minitz, who had never faced defeat, was shocked, and before he could comprehend his loss, found himself journeying to another world. In under a minute, Zegion claimed victory. Rimuru, shocked by the battle broadcasted on the large screen, questioned Benimaru about Zegion's strength, feeling that Zegion might even be stronger than Benimaru. Benimaru's face betrayed a reluctant acceptance of this possibility. Rimuru wondered if Zegion was stronger than himself, a notion confirmed when he learned that Lord of Wisdom had been secretly guiding and enhancing Zegion, making him far stronger than Rimuru had imagined. Sighing, Rimuru realized that, although curious about what else Lord of Wisdom had done to his subordinates, the more pressing matter was the war. With all invaders in the labyrinth annihilated, it was time to focus on the battle on land. Alright, that's all for this video. In the next episode, we'll talk about the arrival of the Labyrinth Crisis. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support fuels my continued efforts. See you in the next one.